All right, we back. Motor City Sports Talk. Y'all know what the business is. We grinding. Appreciate everybody for checking in. This is not about to be a pro Lions video. If you just super pro Lions and don't believe Lions don't do nothing wrong, I advise you not to continue this video and turn it off. All right. I caution y'all right now. Probably got kids in the room listening. Not for them. All right. This is probably gonna be one of the most rawest videos you see on this channel, but I'll try to keep it PG-13 plus, you dig? All right, 97 won a ticket. Dropped an article today, a story about Detroit Lions passing up for Aaron Donald. We know the Lions passed up for Ebron got Ebron and passed up on Odell Beckham and Aaron Donald. All right, always had a gripe with the Lions about this. All right, I even more hate the Lions in general after reading this story about old defensive line coach Jim Washburn, he got seen out to be the scapegoat, and it seemed like he wasn't a bad coach, okay? It seemed like his evaluation skills was on point, okay? And I didn't understand why they took Eric Ebron in general, okay? And I didn't understand why they didn't take Aaron Donald or Odell Beckham. They had took Odell Beckham Jr., I wouldn't have been mad at it. Even at that time, I would have understood moving up for Sammy Watkins, even though that would have been a big problem, okay? But I never understood. I knew Ndamukong Suh wasn't coming back before that draft. His sister had numerous tweets saying they didn't want to be here. It was rumored that Suh didn't want to be here. Negotiations weren't going well. I knew the Lions wasn't going to re-sign Suh. Everybody knew it, okay? You feel me? So, Aaron Donald is this hot defensive lineman out of Pitt, okay? He's 6'1", like 290, something like that. Okay, but he can play. He was in the stature of Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp dropped in the draft because of a fake drug. He had, rumors about him being on the Devil's Dandruff or something like that. All right. So he dropped in the draft. Okay, eventually went to Tampa Bay and changed his life. Okay, that's the prototype. You had John Randall that was undersized, Warren Sapp that was undersized, playing the 3 technique, defensive tackle. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Donald. Jim Washburn said in this story, Aaron Donald was the best defensive tackle or defensive lineman he's seen in over 20 years, okay? This was one of the most disrespectful stories I've heard, man. He says basically, and I'll link the article in the description, this guy says that he begged Martin Mayhew and Tom Luana in the draft room to pick Aaron Donald, and they all laughed and say, oh, we thought we were trying to get bigger and stronger, not smaller. What that little guy gonna do? I'm paraphrasing here. And he was trying to beg them. He even made a Star Wars comparison, saying this is the best defensive player I've seen in 20 years. He said then assistant head coach Ron Prince shut him down, and they drafted Eric Ebron. Okay, Ebron had the highest drop rate in the NCAA football. Okay, you have a tight end on your team named Brandon Pettigrew who can't catch a cold in Nebraska. Okay, in the wintertime. Okay. You got that guy. He can't catch. So you draft another tight end that can't catch. That just shows you it's not necessarily the Lions players. Okay, we've seen Ebron go to Indianapolis and still produce. Okay, we've seen plenty of Lion players leave the Lions den, leave the Lions nest, whatever you want to call it, and go other places to produce. The Lions cannot coach. The management is terrible. Okay, there's no way you can say a guy who had 30 sacks in college through 3 years, I believe Aaron Donald did, 28.5 sacks. And you say you want to pick a tight end after you got a tight end who can't catch, so you got 2 tight ends that can't catch. You talking about undersized? Ebron is 6'4". It is receivers taller than him. He's an undersized tight end to some people. So you just ignore the tape. This just tell me the scouting sucks. They ignore the tape of a beast like Aaron Donald because he's 6'1". That's a benefit to a defensive lineman that knows how to use his leverage and his height to get under the offensive lineman pad level and get leverage. And you can look at his hands. His technique was impeccable. It was a thing of perfection from a former defensive lineman like myself. The way he ripped, the way his hands on the inside was, the leverage that he got. And the Lions picked up Ebron. I mean, the guy with the highest drop percentage in college. The highest. There was no more high. One no more higher than Eric Ebron. But this is your Lions organization right here, okay? They just dismiss a guy. Oh, he too small. You didn't even look at the tape. They didn't look at the tape. They just said he was too small. He's too small. What? It ain't like this individual was 5'10" or like 5'6". They didn't even look at the tape, bro. If they looked at the tape, they would have knew what he was bringing to the table. They would have knew. That's how they scout. You see how they scout? They not thorough. You know what I'm saying? They not thorough at all. Oh, he's too small. And if that's how they scouting, oh, you know what? He too this. I mean, it's a shame, man, that most Lion Slappy fans don't see it the way I see it. Okay. You know, it's a problem with management. And he says Mrs. Ford was sitting in the room and Mr. Stoic Face, Jim Caldwell. Like, dude, when you at that top 10 range, it ain't even that many prospects to choose from. Out of two potential All-Pro players, okay. You got Ebron, Odell Beckham, probably some other people, but you got Aaron Donald there. It's a 2 out of 3 chance that you can get this pick right. The Lions got the upper hand percentage-wise. It's 2 All-Pro players on the board. These motherfuckers, man, excuse me. These motherfuckers still picked the worst dude on the board. And then on that, they didn't even let 3 minutes go off the clock. I remember it. They run up there and pick Ebron. And it had 2 defensive tackles leaving. They didn't pick up Furley's 5th option. They knew Ndamukong Suh wasn't coming back. They knew he wasn't coming back. Aaron Donald and Odell Beckham, right? If Odell Beckham came to Detroit, Calvin Johnson would still be here. But I would rather have Aaron Donald. You had a need. Nick Fairley hadn't played 16 games ever. I don't believe to that point. This guy, Jim Washburn, said this was a once-in-a-generational player. He said his 20 years he haven't seen a player like Aaron Donald. 20 years. You dismissed this man. And then later on in 2015, you fire him. He wouldn't have got fired if he had Aaron Donald. Because this one was no more Fairley, was no more Suh, wasn't Cliff Averill. It was Ziggy Ansah and them. But this dude lost his job. Jim Washburn lost his job. Because Mark Mayhew and Jim Caldwell and Mr. Prince, Ron Prince, wanted a fucking tight end who couldn't catch a cold in Alaska or Nebraska. But this is the Detroit Lions organization. You think Bob Quinn any different? I don't know. He's done better in the draft, better than Mark Mayhew. And don't forget, Mayhew and Lewan was the same people urging Matt Millen to take Charles Rogers over Andre Johnson. To take Mike Williams, I believe, over DeMarcus Ware. And these dudes finessed the Fords. That just show you how retarded the Fords is. Mark Mayhew finessed the Fords to keep him and say, you know what? That was Matt Millen's decision making. But they was urging Matt Millen to pick those receivers. Mark Mayhew didn't even believe in drafting a cornerback. All these years we had a dog front four. He wouldn't draft a cornerback in the first few rounds until Darius Slay. He drafted Bill Bentley. He drafted every fucking whack quarterback you could find. The kid from Stanford was trash. Alex Carter. This dude was just a retard. And I mean that in the most nastiest, heinous way towards him. He didn't even look at the guy's tape because he was 6'1". But you was losing 2 defensive tackles. They had a 2 out of 3 chance to get this right with an all-pro player. They had a tight end that dropped passes, okay? They had a tight end that dropped passes, Billy. They got another tight end that dropped passes. You need a defensive tackle, you passed up Aaron Donald. I'm telling you, man. I see, the more and more I hear these backstories from Peter King and I hear these backstories, I see why the Lions don't win. I see it. They are incompetent organization from top. Fuck the coaches. The owner and the management I don't even know why we even root for these guys no more. You know, after all these stories come out, it's just that, I guess it's just a love for the city of Detroit. That's what it got to be. It's just our love for the city of Detroit and our hometown teams. But I understand, in this video, I understand why I see guys in Detroit walk around with Bears uniform, Bears on, Cowboys shit on. Fuck the Cowboys though, Giants shit on. All these other teams. And God told me a few years ago, you'll understand why when the Lions continue to let you down, you'll find a new team. You know. But this loyal fan base, we definitely don't deserve a team like the Lions, man. I'm sorry. We deserve something way more. We deserve an expansion team before we deserve the Lions. But Motor City Sports Talk, your boy CJ Goodfellow. Don't forget to follow us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll make a donation. That link's there as well.